Check, check one. Brad? Brad, can you hear me? Right. Okay.
Nope. I'm just here to do whatever you would like. I know that you like to do some music yourself, so whatever.
No, I don't.
Whatever you want me to do, you just.
What's, do you have what to open with your Nefesh?
I do not.
Okay. You like Yesh Merat Shabbat?
Mm-mm.
Yesh Merat Shabbat. Okay. So we do know human 12.
Mhm.
Thinking about just chatting now. Actually, no. What card do we do would be fine one.
Okay.
1, 2, 5, 9.
I usually just do 1, 2, and 9.
Okay. Actually, I'm trying to set a mood tonight. So how about just chill in the left hand?
Okay.
And obviously the usual liturgical stuff.
Mhm.
Back to the Shema. What information do you want to use?
I have been using the Rick Recht. It's on the shorter side, but.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
Everything's fine, but the mics are on, and everything's live right now, so don't talk bad about it.
Hi, Brad.
case we can use it. I think I heard that last week.
Hmm?
Did you do it last week? Did they come over?
No.
Microphones are a little hot,
Okay.
so don't feel like you gotta get right up.
Okay.
That's my preference.
Yeah, hopefully that's fine as long as we don't get feedback.
Yeah, and like if you have hard T's and S's and stuff, but that's really only on YouTube, but you'll hear it pop if it's too high. Go like, or you'll hear it cut out. If you do, then you know it's back up.
Yeah, so the astronauts.
Thanks, sir.
Okay.
Good job.
Thank you for the next one.
I can do it if you'd like me to. Okay. And last week we did a Disney game service, so most of the cards are a little different. For we did a Disney game service. So, yeah, we did it.
You didn't even notice.
It's been a really long week.
I work, as you know, in Cleveland, making sure by Friday nights is less than. So I set up somebody to take over supervisory duties at about 3 o'clock, so we can make sure I'm here. That individual did not show up. It's coming from you actually to us. So he shows up, just as we're finishing the clinic. We have our Friday afternoon nap. So I get back here, my wife goes, thank God. Nice 2 weeks finished, you know, yeah, good. So, good, do you have a closing?
Do you have a preference for a closing song? You said you're trying to set a theme
Trying
or
to
a
set
tone for the evening.
a theme. Trying to do. Reflection. You know, this isn't supposed to be high energy. This is just.
Go say something. Can do.
For the Michigan, what are you going to use? Which are you going to use?
I would do the Friedman when I don't have an accompanist.
Okay.
Notice now doesn't really work without the piano.
Understand that. Yeah. Let's see. Is Rob going to be back next week?
To the best of my knowledge. I'm always the last to know.
Just need to know if I have to stand by for next week.
I know he'll be back by Saturday for Lyman's birthday party.
Yeah. I am really holding my breath for that. Just from a pandemic point of view, we are doing really, really well right now in Erie County and Cuyahoga County. We haven't had numbers this low in Cuyahoga County since last July. But obviously things went all the crap. So, you know, we're just holding our breath on that. Our COVID ICU is empty. You know, we have nobody there. Our final patient actually died and left the field first. Unvaccinated, 43. So, very, very tough. Okay, so let's go.
Right, so you just nod to me when you want me jumping in, and
Yes, ma'am.
that's what I'm here for.
Yes, ma'am. So you're the one with the voice, not me. Just for funsies, at the very end, you know, one with the cache. I'm just going to go like that. I'll read through that, and then whoever we have on the beamer for that, we'll have them read that and then watch. Who is that? Do we have the board? We have Sharon Levitt here tonight for candle lighting. If we don't have anybody for, so I just have to volunteer things for the audience.
Sounds good. Thanks, Joe.
Yeah, I think for tonight, everybody needs to support motions. it's the lady. No, we have not had one who followed. It is they're sitting there speechless. The 3 young girls are sitting there speechless. And they basically go, shut up, get the bodies out of the back.
Hmm.
Yeah. Um, As a musician, you've gotten the word of what you did. To be able to play, because we were just all talked about. Really good. We were so- so- so, you know, so, why you bang your head? So we synchronize 3 articles. Version bang your head. 1, 2, 3. So we had to throw the whole thing.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, this is a really great.
Yeah. But it's interesting to start to. No, she's recovered, but. Stood with her.
You know, for,
Understanding.
Yeah, good. Back from traveling.
But you would make a
there's a lot of criticism, rejection. It comes from the try to make it right. I don't know. But I mean,
See, it's time. Correct. Somebody put on socks, somebody put on blue. Oh, well. Okay. See, I don't know. Yes, I mean, but I hold it up against the pants. I probably should have, but I just pulled socks out of the drawer. No, it was very nice. We had this time in Florida. And then I was really burned out in church. It was all good. They're gonna come. Kids. Here, yeah. Okay. Yes. Traveling session towns here. Just. I didn't have. Yeah. That's what you want. Yeah. So that was yeah. And she was. And she was, they didn't know, so we're gonna talk like 2 hours later. She said, I'm not gonna go. Yeah. But it's interesting. I mean, it worked out. Describing me without saying that. And you can say that. Monday. Yeah. And it was my library and. I know. Yeah. Nice. You have to know that when I was on the school. And then once you retire, all this and shit. Very. But we do have an alarm clock, so it gets up and I go over. Oh, okay. But he's done, and he's the master. Okay. Yeah. So you gotta go somewhere the songs will well, we do. Okay. So nice to see you. There. Yeah. This is a good little group here. Welcome to join us. Can you write down? Yes. Back, you're back. I'm back. I don't this week. So I'm back. When everybody is good. Your daughter has two. Yeah, 7 is 4. Oh. Before they go talking for 7. Oh my gosh. Especially. And when are you planning weddings? In May of 23 and July of 23. So we're a year and a quarter. Yes, our little Jacob was in Pittsburgh and Abby's will be here in town. Wow. So, yeah. No, because the mother is here in town. Yeah. And then the parents, and the little yeah, Sarah. they both work for the U.S. Department of Defense as teachers. They teach high school and elementary school on the Navy base there. And they lived there for like 16 years. Yeah. So.
A different culture.
So sometimes people's parents are how long now. Yeah, they used to see each other every year. He would go there every other year and Don would come, dad would come in. But, it's
Where they teach you English.
the Navy base children. So
Okay,
they're American.
so these are American.
Yes.
They're not teaching you English as a second
No, no,
language.
no. Yeah, no, she's a reading specialist.
Wow.
And he teaches.
How many-
Oh, the base is huge. There's like 2 or 3 high schools on the base. Wow, it's a huge base. No. No, Abby, no, they were supposed to go, but it all happened to cancel. Yeah. So. Yeah. Next Friday, we'll be able to. Yeah. We will miss you.
Yeah, I mean, I have the horses.
How are you? I'm good.
So you should do it.
Okay. What is it? Not 15.
Well, that's
She said, when I was in Florida, but as I said, well, yes.
Good evening and Shabbat Shalom. So anyway, it's been quite a week for all of us. And I have some very good news that we can actually share with you rather than the gloom and doom that we hear in the news media and just what we observe around us. In Cleveland, our COVID ICU is empty. Yay. 3 weeks ago, we had 16 patients, 15 unvaccinated, 1 fully vaccinated, but lots of preconditions. So we are now empty. Second piece of good news is that the BA2 variant is in Cleveland. You're saying this is good news? Well, it's about 40% of what we're getting at my institution, and it seems to be acting like pretty much version 1.0 Omicron. So clinically, so far so good. Third item, one of my resident physicians who graduated last May, I've stayed in contact with. Her first name is Saida. She and her husband Fayez have a young son named Zachariah, chosen because it fits in both in a Christian, Muslim, and Judaic context. So where do you think little Zachy is going to preschool? He's going to the Mandel JCC of Cleveland Preschool, where my wife was a volunteer when she was in high school. Different story. So Saida says, Dr. V, I think she sends me a text on Thursday, earlier in the week, says, Dr. V, I think you will like this. So I see this very, very dark-skinned Pakistani looking kid with a little crown on it. They were having a Purim thing. So in their little Purim shtick, Zaki, the Muslim kid, was King Ahasuerus. Pretty cool. We finished up our clinic on a high note because I work with a really good group of people. So we had a fair number of people out just for vacation and stuff. So we really busted our humps today to finish what we were supposed to do. At the end of the day, we kind of all looked at each other and breathed a sigh of relief. So one of my residents, her name is Sakina, a Muslim lady from Detroit, Michigan, Dearborn, says, Dr. Vidmar, it's one of those days where you just want to bang your head against the wall. So 3 of my co-conspirators all looked and thought of the 1980s metal band Quiet Riot and said, bang your head. So we all queued up our iPhones to the same video for bang your head, and 1, 2, 3, bang. So we had Quiet Riot's Bang Your Head going all through the halls, and the guys went out on a good note. But what I want to do now is just kind of set the mood. It's been tough. I want to be reflective. Shabbat is a time to celebrate, but I also want to kind of bring us down. As a kid, as a Catholic kid growing up in Cleveland Heights, Ohio, and I would hear my Jewish friends talking about Shabbat is falling, and I'd go, no. And then I found out what it meant. It's just quietly descending. And it meant a lot. So I would like us to turn to page 7, please. And let's read responsively before we start. Where has this week vanished? Is it lost forever? Will I ever recover anything from it? The joy of life, the unexpected victory, the realized hope, the task accomplished? Will I ever be able to banish the memory of pain, the sting of defeat, the heaviness of boredom? On this day, let me keep for a while what must drift away. On this day, let me be free of the burdens that must return. On this day, Shabbat abide. Together, help me to withdraw for a while from the flight of time. Contain, please, of thy hours, days from the grasp of frantic life. Okay, tonight lighting our candles is Janice. Candle lighting on page 6. On page 2.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu b'chavad ner shel Shabbat.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
We'll continue on page 10 with Hine Matov.
Hine ma tov u'manayim, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov u'manayim, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov u'manayim, shevet achim gam yachad.
Now, the thought of Hine Matov is Hine, behold, Matov, how good it is. And it is. You know, for 25 hours every week, we have Shabbat. Enjoy it, think about it, and just be part of it. We'll continue with Lakadodi, verses 1, 2, and 9. Page 20.
Lecha dodi likrat kala yalalai 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 b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala yalalai 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 b'nei Shabbat nekabela.
My original plan was not to do that, but to do something else, but just the moment seized I thought it was more appropriate. And that's one of the nice parts about our Siddur, is that you've got choices, and whoever's leading services can make that choice as we go. We'll continue on page 26 with the Hatzi Kaddish. Please rise.
Yitkadav, Yitkadash me Rabba.
Amen.
Ve'amadi barachirute, ve'amlich malchute, ve'chayechon u'vyomechon, u'vchayedecho Beit Yisrael. Bagala, bagala, u'vizman karim, bimaru, amen. Yehi Shmei Rabba Mevorach, Le'olam olam me'amaya. Yitbarach, Yitbarach, V'yishtabach, V'yitba'ar, V'yitrumam, V'yitnaseh, V'yitadar, V'yitale, V'yitama. Shmei Dekudesha, Barichu, Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata. Tushbechata nechemata, Tamiran be'oma, Bimaru, Amen.
Please stay standing for the Baruch, page 28.
Baruch hu et Adonai hamevorach, Baruch Adonai hamevorach, Leolam vaed.
Adonai hamvorach, le'olam vaed. Please be seated. When you look at the history of liturgy, the first thing that was actually in the liturgy, this is during the times of the temple service, was the tefillah. And then you started adding things on either side. And so we led up, we had the Shema, and then we had prayers leading up to the Shema. And then we had introductory prayers, the Psalms and stuff that we went through ahead of time. So think of this as actually rising, going up a ladder of contemplation, a ladder of peace. So that's what this is about. In the evening service, we always have Ma'ariv Aravim. Now think about it. I mean, the very first time I ever led services at the shul, I had in my mind just doing the very same thing aboard the flight deck of USS Saratoga as the sun was going down. Pretty powerful moment. So try to picture in your eyes a nice, beautiful evening at the peninsula, sun going down. Together, the Ma'ariv Aravim on page 30. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bidvaro ma'ariv aravim, v'chochma poteach sha'arim, uvitvonav mishnei itim, u'machaliv et hazmanim, u'mesader et hakokavim, v'mishmerotechem barkia kirtzono, borei yom v'layla, golel or mipnei choshek, v'choshek mipnei or, Uma'avir yom umevi laila, umavdil ben yom uvein laila, Adonai tzavaot shemo, El chai v'kayam tamid yimloch aleinu le'olam va'ed, Baruch atah Adonai hama'ariv aravim. You don't have to know a word of Hebrew to feel that flow. It just speaks to you. We'll continue with Ahavat Olam on page 32.
Ahavat olam med Yisrael, Amcha ahavta, Torah u'mitzvot, chukim u'mishpatim, otanu limadta, Al Kain Adonai Eloheinu b'shochmenu v'kumenu nasiach bechukecha v'nizmach b'divrei toratecha u'mitzvotecha le'olam va'ed ki hem chayenu ve'orech yameinu uvahem negei yomam v'layla negei yomam v'layla ve'ahavatcha letasir mimenu le'olamim Baruch atah Adonai Ohev amo Yisrael.
Please rise for the Shema, page 34.
Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. 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 Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Va'ed. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Va'ed. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad.
Please be seated. We'll continue with the Ve'ahavta on page 36. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavacha v'chol nafshecha u'v'chol meodecha v'hayu hadvarim ha'elech asher anochi mitzavecha hayom alevavecha Vishinantam levanecha vidibarta bam vishivtecha bevetecha uvlektecha vaderek ushachbecha uvkumecha ukshartam leot hayudecha v'hayuletotafot beinenecha uktavtam amizazot beitecha uvisharecha Leman tiskaru vasitem et kol mitzvotai vitem kedoshim lelewechem ani Adonai Elohechem asher hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim liot lachem lelohim ani Adonai Elohechem Adonai Elohechem emet. It's the first time I've tried to sing wearing an N95. Page 38. Emet v'umunah kol zot v'kayam aleinu ki hu Adonai Eloheinu v'en zulato v'anachnu Yisrael amo. Top of page 39 together. Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot, that wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt, that there is a better place, a promised land. The winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness, that there is no way to get from here to there except joining hands and marching together. That particular meditation, just think about that. Standing on the parted shores of history, it's eternally Egypt. Okay? What is meant by that? What's the Hebrew word for Egypt? It's Mitzrayim. Okay? Now let's break that down. What is in the middle of Mitzrayim? Sur, rock. Basically, if you're in Mitzrayim, you're between a rock and a hard place. Sound familiar? And that's where we are. But the good news is we can march our way through that if we just work together at doing it.
Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar b'kodesh, nora tehilot, oseh chesed.
Page 42. When you think about evening liturgy, you're trying to wind down from a week. You're trying to find some peace. You're trying to find some rest. And you just kind of want to put your head down. Relax. It's been a tough week. Which is why the Hashkivenu is in the liturgy. Page 42. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom. V'hamidenu shomrenu l'chaim, v'fros aleinu sukat shlemecha, v'taknenu be'itza tova milfanecha, v'hoshienu l'ma'an shemecha. Together in the middle of page 42. Grant, O God, that we lie down in peace and raise us up, our guardian, to life renewed. Spread over us the shelter of your peace. Guide us with your good counsel. For your name's sake, be our help. Shield and shelter us beneath the shadow of your wings. Defend us against enemies, illness, war, famine, and sorrow. Distance us from wrongdoing. For you, God, watch over us and deliver us. For you, God, are gracious and merciful. Guard our going and our coming to life and peace evermore. Blessed are you, Adonai, guardian of Israel, whose shelter of peace is spread over us, over all of Israel, and over Jerusalem. Baruch atah Adonai, haporei sukat shalom, aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael, va'al Yerushalayim. Top of 44, the Shamru.
Vishamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam. Vishamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam. Beni uvein b'nei Yisrael, oti leolam, oti leolam. Veshamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam. Ki sheshet yamim asa Adonai et hashemayim ve'et haaretz, veshamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam. Uvayom hashvi'i Shabbat vayinafash, Shabbat vayinafash, Shabbat vayinafash. Veshamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam.
We are a people in whom the past endures, in whom the present is inconceivable without moments gone by. The Exodus lasted a minute, a moment enduring forever. What happened once upon a time happens all the time. Please rise for Tefillah, page 46.
Adonai sifatai tiftachu fi agi tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu v'imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'konei Hakol, V'zocher Chasdei Avot v'imahot, U'mevii geula lifnei bneihem, L'ma'an shemo be'ahava, Melech ozer u'moshia u'magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magid Abraham, Bezrat Sarah. Atah gibor le'olam Adonai, Mechaye hakol atah Rab Hoshia, Mashiv haruach u'morid hagashem, Mechalkel chaim bechesed, Mechaye hakol barachamim rabim, Somech noflim v'rofei cholim, Umatir asurim, Umekayem emunato, Lishenei afar, Michamocha bal gevurot, Umidom elach, Melech b'mit umechaye, Umatzmiach Yeshua, B'ne'eman atah l'chayot hakol. Baruch atah Adonai, Mechaye hakol. Atah kadosh v'shimcha kadosh, kadoshim b'chol yom yahalu chasela. Baruch atah Adonai, Ha'el hakadosh.
Please continue the Amida on your own, standing or sitting as per your tradition. Together we'll sing the Ritzeh on page 57.
Ritzeh Adonai Eloheinu, Ve'amecha Yisrael, U'tefillah תחתם באהבה תקבל ותהי לרצון תמיד עבודת ישראל. ישראל עמך אל קרוב לך קרב פני אל עבדיך לחננו שפוך רוחך עלינו ותחזינה עינינו בשובך לציון. ברחמים ברוך אתה אדוני המחזיק יחידתו לציון.
Page 58. The Retse part of the Amida is say, okay, please accept what we come to offer you in prayer, what we come to offer you of ourselves, sometimes of our physical possessions. The next part of the Amida is the Hoda'ah, to give thanks. So we say, God, please accept our gifts. And then we're saying, okay, thank you for what you have given us. Modim anachnu lak sha'atahu Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu le'olam va'ed. Tzur chayenu magen yishenu atahu lador vador. Together on the top of 59. God of goodness, we give thanks for the gift of life, wonder beyond words, for the awareness of soul, our light within, for the world around us so filled with beauty, for the richness of the earth which day by day sustains us. For all these and more, we offer thanks. Baruch atah Adonai, v'tov shimcha v'lecha na'el lahodot.
Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Ki atah melech Adon Lecha Shalom. Ki atah melech Adon Lecha Shalom. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. V'tov beinecha levarech et amecha Yisrael bechol עת ובכל שעה Bishlomecha. Shalom Rama Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rama Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam.
We've climbed to the top of the hill. We're on our way down. But the liturgists back in ancient times, when they composed and collated the Amida, had this section here, which on page 62, which we don't use much. And we should, especially in times that are divisive, times where people are short and curt with each other, and recognizing that we're not perfect and we've made errors too. So together in the middle of page 62. My God, guard my speech from evil and my lips from deception. Before those who slander me, I will hold my tongue. I will practice humility. Open my heart to your Torah that I may pursue your mitzvot. As for all who think of me, cancel their designs and frustrate their schemes. Act for your own sake, for the sake of your power, for the sake of your holiness, for the sake of your Torah, so that your loved ones may be rescued. Save with your power and answer me. Va'aneni, answer me.
Ose shalom bimrama,
Uyase shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru, v'imru, amen. Yase shalom, yase shalom. Shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yase shalom, yase shalom. Shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Please page to turn 253, Mishaberach. It's interesting, like about 15 years ago, I did an adult ed session about the Mishaberach. And, you know, the one that we have in liturgy is the only one that you really think about. But if you actually look through the history of liturgy, there's Mishaberachs for everything. You know, just kind of like the Kaddish being used in various parts in the service or this and that and the other thing. Well, the same thing was Mishaberach, but it's kind of disappeared out. So today we use it usually when we're talking about Torah service. And then on Friday evenings, we use it as well. God, who blessed our ancestors, Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, Sarah, Rebecca, Leah, and Rachel, send your blessing to the following friends and family members who are in need of healing and comfort. Greg Bennett, Michael Biren, Scott Gordon, Rebecca Gottlieb, Phyllis Levin, Jacob Adams, Pat Hanna, Doug Ford, Steve Tottleben, Michael Goldman, Linda Lyons, Patty Olson, Zachary Jackson, Bruce Harrell, Andrea Kempner Blake, Frank Fusaro, Katya Elia, Renee Goldman, Phil DeFrancesco, Jay Kaler, Nancy Kohler, Debbie Perry, Amy Doherty, Mattia Press, Sheila Cohen, Diane Levy, Jenny Niebauer, Julie Matthews, Dane Marchinowski, Maggie Lee, Noyak Greenberg, Stacy Mason, Bridget Mueller, Marianne Piscatelli, Merv Weinman, and Lyle Jackson of County Kent in the UK. For those of you that are online, if you wish to submit things in the chat box to include on the Mishaberach list, please do so now. And if those in the Kehillah here live tonight have names to add, please do so as my eyes meet yours. Thank you. Thank you.
Yisheberak Avotenu Mekor HaBracha Ve'imotenu. May the source of strength, who blessed the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Yishebeirach imotenu mekor habracha leavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
Whenever his rabbi's gone, I somehow manage to get the short straw in terms of Hoshot upon which to preach. Well, Shemini, everybody's familiar with. Yeah, we're in Leviticus. Yeah, we're going through the laundry list of laws and precepts and God knows what. Well, Parshat Shemini, the first recognizable word. The Shemini refers to the eighth day after the 7 days of initiation of the Aaronid priests, right? Aaron and his sons. The main themes are as follows, just to kind of give everybody an idea. On the 8th day following 7 days of their inauguration, Aaron and his sons begin to officiate. A fire issues forth from God to consume the offerings on the altar, and the divine presence comes to dwell in the sanctuary. So the switch is clicked on. Aaron's 2 elder sons, Nadav and Avihu, offer a strange fire before God and die. Aaron is silent in the face of his tragedy. Moses and Aaron shortly thereafter disagree as to a point of law regarding the offerings. But Moses concedes to Aaron that he's in the right. Not only that, considering what just happened, maybe he should just tone it down a little bit. God commands the laws of kashrut, identifying animal species, permissible and forbidden in their conceptions. Land animals may be eaten only if they have split hooves or chew their cud. Fish must have fins and scales, and a laundry list of non-kosher birds is given, as well as a short list of kosher insects that can be eaten. Yes, there are a few. And these are all locusts in the land of Israel. Think about that. Plague of locusts, eating locusts. Gee whiz, I wonder where that came from. Some of the laws of ritual purity are included later, including the importance of the mikvah and the wellspring. Thus, the Israelites are enjoined to differentiate between the pure and impure. This wasn't just us in the ancient world, it was a lot of other people. So everybody's heard about those things. But what am I going to talk about? Said he knowingly. So what I decided to do was take some of the portions of the third Aliyah, talk about them, and see if they're relevant to what we're doing today. V'yikrat Moshe el Mishael ve'el Elfanan b'nei Uzakia dod Aharon v'yomor Elohim kirvu she'u et hachechem me'et pnei hakodesh el mechutz l'machanecha. Moses called to Mishael and Elzaphan, sons of Uziel, the uncle of Aaron. Ever heard of the uncle of Aaron? No, you will only hear about it here. and said to them, come forward and carry your kinsmen away from the front of the sanctuary to a place outside the camp. So who are the kinsmen that he's referring to? Nadav and Navihu. They just got zapped. Okay, so carry that in their mind. Carry them away. Vayikru v'saum bechutanotam el mechutz lemachane ka'asher diber Moshe. They came forward and carried them out of the camp by their tunics. So they weren't allowed to even have contact with dead bodies. Now, these guys weren't priests, right? These were kind of like, ganze mishpacha, but they still weren't not allowed to touch the bodies. They had to carry them out by their tunics. Vayomer Moshe el Acharon ul Eleazar ul Itamar benav Rashichem el Tifrou uvigdechem lo Tifromu velo Tamut va'al kol ha'eda yiktsof ve'achechem kol Beit Yisrael yivku et hasrefa asher saraf Adonai. Moses said to Aaron and his son Eleazar and Itamar, remember them, these were the two sons that survived, do not bare your heads or dishevel your hair. What's this all about? So basically, as a sign of mourning, people would cut their hair, right? Sackcloth, ashes, cut their hair and all that stuff. And do not rend your clothes, just like we do today in mourning customs, right? Lest you die, all the house of Israel shall bewail the burning that God has wrought. Nadav and Abihu. Umi petach ochel moed lo tetsu, pain tamutu, ki shemen mishchat Adonai alechem v'ya'asu kidavar Moshe. And so do not go outside the entrance of the tent of meeting lest you die, for Adonai's anointing oil is upon you. And so they did it, Moses had bidden. Okay, so big deal. It's very terse, procedural almost sterile. Nobody likes to talk about this, but heck, I'm up to a challenge. So what's this response to the incineration of Nadav and Avihu? Aaron just saw his two older sons get incinerated. His two younger sons, Eleazar and Itamar, saw their older siblings get incinerated. So what do you think they felt? Imagine the shock, imagine the horror, imagine their silence. Immediately, Moses has the chutzpah and tells some relatives, these are the sons of the uncle, to pick up the clothed bodies of their dead cousins by their clothing, remember, not by the skin, and take them outside the camp. Moses tells Aaron and his two remaining sons, Eleazar and Ithamar, remember, these guys are the real priests, to not cut their hair, not rend their garments, which are ancient symbols of mourning, and basically ignore is just what happened. And as my friends, the Brit would say, hey, mate, get on with it. Really? So Moses said this was because God had anointed them and that their performance of priestly duties took priority over their being able to mourn their kinfolk. Imagine how that felt for just a second. Denial of the ability to mourn. Does this sound familiar? It should. It can take its toll, has done so in the past, certainly did with Aaron and Eleazar and Itamar, and a whole bunch of people ever since then. This inability to engage in the mourning process has numerous examples in ancient and modern life. Wars sound familiar, as we're seeing unfold on CNN every night, both by belligerents and civilians. Distance between relatives, just in physical distance, estrangement because you haven't talked to cousin it in a long time, denial, disease and plague amongst many, like right now. Good grief. Amy and I have lost 3 relatives in the course of the pandemic, and we haven't been able to mourn for one of them. The manifestations of denial of the ability to mourn are sometimes obvious, and in other ways they're subtle. They may be physical, feeling physically, or they might be mental. People just not quite feeling right, kind of lost, which takes us to the past 2 years. Lots of funerals, Shiva Minyanim, family support, basically not available for families when they really, really badly need it. What about the people who work in healthcare, nursing homes, who saw their patients and sometimes their own family members die of COVID and were just unable to engage in the traditions of mourning? The occasions that should serve as a source of healing and comfort and support to us have been denied. Repressed emotions are stressful. Sometimes otherwise normal people will do some dumb things, sometimes quite irrational. We've seen this. Think about it. And as I always finish up my Devar Torahs, in the words of my dad, Frank Vidmar, who I never got a chance to mourn for, so why should I care? Except he was a good Catholic man. He didn't have the Yiddishism. Dad, you'd be proud. Dad saw his comrades die in large numbers in the Battle of the Bulge, and he didn't have the time to mourn them or process their loss until many years later. It did take a toll on him. He saw firsthand the horrors of Dachau, being one of the liberating units. At the time, it was all mission-oriented. He didn't have a time to think about it. Only later did he do it. So let's kind of hold on to this idea of delayed or denied mourning in the back of our minds as this pandemic grinds on. It may at least tell us why a few reasonable people might otherwise do very dumb things. And we'll continue with the Aleinu on page 282. Please rise.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצא בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגור עלינו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא, שהוא נוטה שמיים ועושה ארץ, ומושב יקרו בשמיים ממעל, ושכינתו זו בגובה מרומים, הוא אלוהינו אין עוד. אמת מלכנו אפסו אותו, ככתוב בתורתו, וידעת היום בהשבות אל לבבך, כי אדוני הוא האלוהים בשמיים ממעל, וארץ מתחת אין עוד. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד.
Please be seated. Let's look at meditation number 9 on 292. For a good number of us who are either here live tonight or online, this is starting to really ring true as we see what's going on in Ukraine right now. 3/4 of my wife's family came from there. They left. They were lucky. They got out. Those that didn't leave, the Nazis got the rest. And now we're seeing this played out with some Jews, but mostly non-Jews. It's just evocative. We have lived in numberless towns and villages, and too many of them we have endured cruel suffering. Some we have forgotten, others are sealed in our memory, a wound that does not heal. 100 generations of victims of martyrs, still their blood cries out from the earth, and so many at Dachau, Buchenwald, Babiar, in the Ukraine, by the way. What can we say? What can we do? How bear the unbearable or accept what life has brought to our people? All who are born must die. But how shall we compare the slow passage of time with the callous slaughter of the innocent cut off before their time? They lived with faith, not all, but many. And surely many died with faith in God, in life, in the goodness that even flames cannot destroy. May we find a way to the strength of that faith, that trust, that sure sense that life and soul endure beyond this body's death. They have left their lives to let a million prayers rise whenever Jews worship, let a million candles glow against the darkness of these fun, finished lives. This week, we are in a period of Shiva for David Buckle, brother of Roberta Barilla. We're in the period of, we're commemorating the art sites this week of Simon Phil Williams, Janet Rudolph, William Schuster, Ovid Cohen, Barbara McKell, Adolf Buckstein, Harold Rubin, Rosalie Brandeis Frank, Francis Jacob Solomon, Babette Westheimer, Ruth Leah Powdermaker, Moses Frank, Gussie Shapira, Rose Cooperberg, Melvin Strauss, Solomon Herzog, Gisela Kahn, William Penn, Annie Immerman, Isaac Mayer Wise, and Jacob Slater. If any out there following us on the internet have names to add to the art site list, please do so at this point. And here in the live Kehila, please add them now as my eyes meet yours. Are there any mourners tonight to rise? Okay. Please rise as a congregation for the Kaddish Yatam. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, b'alma divrach rutei v'yamlich malachutei, b'chayechon v'yomechon, v'chayei dechol beit Israel, ba'agala v'zman kariv v'maru amen. Yehi shmei Rabbah mevarak v'olam olamei almaya, yitbarak v'yishtabak v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh, v'yithadar v'yithaleh v'yithalal shmei b'kusha brichu, Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechamata, damiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mramav, v'yaseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Zichronam levracha, may their memories be for a blessing. Please be seated. Announcements.
First of all, thank you, Dennis, for leading the service in the Devar Torah. Very meaningful, very relevant, and Jesse always, it's always beautiful every time. So services this weekend are in memory of William Penn and William Schuster. And coming events. Tomorrow, you're going to run services and Torah study again?
I am running services, but Eric Pallant.
Okay.
Doing Torah study. So
Okay.
they brought in a real professor.
So, okay. So tomorrow morning, services with Dennis, Torah study with Eric Pounds. And you can come in person and there's also Zoom link. So either way. Monday is book club. It's still on Zoom, and we'll be talking about the nature of fragile things. And also, do not forget, coming up in April, it's a little bit, well, first of all, we have Lyman's birthday party, beginning of April, 100th birthday. Lyman's here, that's what I'm pointing to him. So come here for Lyman's party and RSVP to Julie for that. There's a link for that. And then a little bit later on in April is our second night Seder, and I'm so excited that if you are vaccinated and boosted, please join us here. And if not, or if you prefer, we will still have the Zoom option too. So have it your way, both ways. Lots of good things going on. Thank you, Dennis. Shabbat shalom.
Try seeing patients for 13 hours in this. Page 4. ויהי ערב ההיא בוקר ביום השישי, ויחולו השמיים והארץ וכל צבאם, וכל אלוהים ביום השביעי מלאכתו אשר עשה, וישבות ביום השביעי מכל מלאכתו אשר עשה. ויברך אלוהים את יום השביעי, וקדש אותו, כי בו שבת מכל מלאכתו אשר ברא אלוהים לעשות. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, בורא פרי האפל. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, אשר קדשנו במצוותיו ורצנו, בשבת קודשו ואהבנו רצון הנחילנו, זיכרון למעשה בראשית, כי הוא יום תהילה לא נקראי קודש, זה ארץ יציאת מצרים. באנו בחרת, אותנו קידשת, מכל עמים, ושבת קודשך, יאהבה ורצון הנחלתנו. ברוך אתה אדוני מקדש השבת. Amen. After doing that mask, this feels really good. It's always the best shirt, best costume I can buy. Mom and Dad shirts, this is what Mom loved me.
We give thanks to God for bread. Our voices rise in song together as our joyful prayer is said. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen.
No reading around my house, but Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Fun song.
Sure. Ose shalom bimromav, yaseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imeru amen. Ose shalom bimromav, yaseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imeru amen.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.